All right. So today we want to talk a little bit about routing. So first we need to understand what we mean by routing, and hopefully everyone's on the same page. So the modern browsing experience, things can be a single page, but often we have various links, right? We have some sort of navigation element to our website, such as this site. So its home page would be just frontendmentor.io, but then if we clicked on a certain link like challenges, we notice, thanks Darius, we notice the address page changes, the URL here changes. We have a /challenges, and the content reflects what we've clicked on. So if I click on solutions, some parts of the page will stay the same, other parts render completely different content, yeah? So routing ties into this, or routing sets up what content we see based on a certain URL or a certain route. I say route, other people say route, right, or routing. So it depends where you come from and where you've picked up this terminology. Right, so the issue with routing in React is out of the box, it doesn't come built in. So typically with websites, if we hosted our site on a server, or we had a static site and we made GET requests to the server and that sent back a page, right? This was the historical way of doing things. So the server would handle the routing based on what the user typed in. A GET request would be made to the server and that would send back some files that then got passed in the browser and displayed to the user. So modern technology's come on quite a bit, and we've got a lot more computing power available to our end users. Yeah, our laptops have got more and more powerful over the years, and that means that rather than just making relatively small requests to the servers and making quite a lot of them, now we can make bigger requests and serve a large part of our site all in one go. So the result of this is that things like single page applications became very, very popular. Things where all of our content, this is just one of our ex-students, created a little portfolio page. I just need a bit of light. Can you give me that? What's that light for me, Darius? So that plug, if you just plug in there. So they created some sort of portfolio page here, and it's just a single page. We can just scroll down. I think I'm zoomed in a bit too much, so it should look a bit more like that. But I can just scroll down, and all the content's on one page, right? It's a single page app. There is a navigation bar, but I've taken it out for the purpose of this demo because we're going to set up some routing, and I'll use this page as a demo. But for very simple sites, we could just serve that whole site all in one go. And single page applications are very popular, and that was what React was originally designed for. SPAs. So we can tell that React, I think we covered this, right? We can tell how React is a single page application, but let's just take it as a given. Now, what do I want to show you? Yeah, so everything's rendered through our index.html page, right? Remember this through the root ID there. That's where our whole React application is being rendered. And the rest of our components are rendered through one single parent component, the app component. Everything else is imported either directly or indirectly into that root component. So her setup was fairly simple, right? Just one div containing an app with a header section about skills, my projects and footer, etc. Yeah. So if we wanted to introduce some navigation to this site, an older way without having to worry about any external routing tools would be perhaps to use something like hash routing or IDs on the page. So you know how to give a certain section of the page an ID, think Daniel's been refreshing up on this stuff, hopefully. I think he's been looking at his HTML quite in depth, and he's been learning about different attributes that we can give our HTML or JSX elements here. And one of them would be an ID selector. So here we can see that we've got an ID of home inside of the header component. We've got an ID of skills if we go to the skills component. And that's what we can use to apply some styles, perhaps, yeah? That's obviously skills class, so she's not applying styles directly to the skills ID, but of course she could just by, I have light, brilliant, just by using that sort of syntax, yeah? The hash denotes an ID there, and if I spell skills correctly, it might even help. Yeah, and then we could put our styles in here, right? Change some colors or whatever we want to do. Anyway, that's beside the point. The fact is we've got an ID to identify an element on our page. So one way we might have created a navigation bar, I'll just get past all her icons, is inside of this nav menu, or navi menu she's called it, component, then we could create various links. We might have that as a list. In HTML, what could we use to denote a list? Li, definitely, but Li's usually go inside of either an ordered list or an unordered list. Yep, so let's go for an unordered list. So we could definitely create an unordered list. We can give it some Li elements inside, and I think she had an about section. And we also had some skills and some projects. That'll do for now, I think, right? Oops. Got about, we've got skills, and we've got projects. Something like that. Now, they're not going to be links at the moment. That should just be unclickable text on the page, and in fact it looks ugly as well, so let's make sure we've got some styles being applied there. Let's go into our header.css, hopefully somewhere, yeah, so we've got some navi, right, or navi menu. So at the moment all that's in there is padding right. Yeah, I think I've commented out the other stuff. Okay, so how could we perhaps make that more look like a menu bar, look more like a navigation bar? Firstly, I'm going to just give it some color so we can see what it looks like. So now I've changed the text color to white. I can go back, whoops, not that way. Where is it? Yeah, so at the moment they're just stacking one on top of each other, sort of a block display. So it doesn't look great. Instead, how could I make it still be on the right hand side of the screen, but inline? What's an option for that?
Inline styling.
Inline styling. Is that a CSS property? What is that? Display inline? Yeah, I'd rather not though. Can we maybe use some flexbox or something modern that Ricardo showed you on Monday?
It's probably display flex.
Yeah, I think we'd do a display flex on these elements. And then we could do something like, what am I trying to do now? We've got 3 items, haven't we? And at the moment they're just LIs. Yeah, we could give them a class name, or what do you want to do? How should we style these?
You don't have to give a class actually.
No?
I think before we had item, didn't we, for each one?
You can just go to the next line, LI.
Yep. So we've only got some LIs on the page, so we can just directly access them. Yeah? Fine.
We could even do it inside another.
Yeah. So what's the property I think Alana mentioned, and she said something about flex end? So you want to justify content, flex end? You want to try that? Mm-hmm. So we need to give that a width though, or that just work as is? So we've still got that sort of display at the moment. Share. So if that's our flex container, it's treating that, isn't it, as the flex item. So it might work like that, but it's not the best way to write the HTML. So now they're in line, technically, yeah. So we probably wanted this to be the UL. And then also on our LIs, we're probably going to want to have what to get rid of those bullet points. Is it text decoration done? Is it that one? I always forget. No, it's list style, list style, list type, list style type, right? List style type, none. Cool. Looking a bit better. Just a basic menu. We can give it a bit of padding now, or whatever you want, or we could use, yeah, I guess padding's the easiest way, right? Don't criticize my use of pixels, it's just an example. Oh, except, yeah, we don't want anything at the top, so let's do what, 0. Yeah, that'll do for now, right? Just to display something. We've got a few links up there. It's in the menu bar. Good enough. First iteration. All right. So now, if we clicked on one of those links, how would we get it to jump down to the relevant section? Well, firstly, they're not even links, are they? So let's turn them into links. How would we turn them into a hyperlink? Yeah, with the A tag, yeah. Inside, outside, does it matter? Convention, yeah. It would work, wouldn't it, technically, if it was inside, but I mean outside. But. Yeah, shouldn't have done 3, right? So anyone use Emmet? Makes HTML a bit more bearable, right? Right, so now they should be, no. Oh yeah, we haven't got any link. href, yeah, so this is the important bit. Where do I want to make my href in this case? If we want to just navigate using our IDs. Yeah, so we've got hashtag about, I think it was hashtag skills. And same for projects, yeah. So now, because it's a link, so I made my Navi menu color, so that my color should be, will it filter down if I put in the LI? We'll have to create a separate anchor. Will that do it? Nope.
Can you try to put A inside LI?
Can I put, is A not inside LI?
No, CSS.
Oh.
So does that compile as CSS? So
What, that or?
yes, but you can
that?
No, really. Can I just, can I?
Yeah, if you wish.
You don't have to just. I was thinking more of like doing something like A, and then just go like,
can nest things in SAS, but I don't think normal CSS will like it. Yeah.
This is normal. Oh yeah.
This is
This
just
is
plain old
normal.
CSS as opposed to SAS or less. Yeah. So unfortunately, we couldn't nest it in that way. But for now, I'll just make all my links white. Yeah, just to get it working. Okay, now we've got the pointer. That definitely links. And when we click it, it goes down to the relevant section. Cool. So I mean, that's obviously a very old-fashioned solution, not using any extra routing in React. And we've still got use of the forward and the back buttons. Fair enough. So not too bad a solution, but imagine we had a more complex web page. You know, we've got some more advanced content. Oops, maybe not the right one to click on. And you know, we want certain elements to stay the same, but just the inner content to change. We don't want to scroll or force a scroll. We just want the actual what is rendered on the page to display differently. So this is where we could use some sort of routing solution. Does anyone know what the most common routing solution for React is? To such an extent that people think it's the official one. React Router DOM. Yeah, so that's an npm module. So to install it, you would need to run npm install react-router-dom. Once you run that and check your package.json, it should, I don't know why I've got React DOM as well. Oh, maybe it was already installed, but never mind. I was hoping that you'd see it get added. Let me take it off and see whether it will add it there for us. Yes, if you didn't have it installed in your project, you run that command, wait for it to complete, and it should have added it to your list of dependencies. So this package comes with quite a few useful built-in components, or it gives us access to some extra components. So that has put React Router DOM back in my list of dependencies, yeah? And a newer version as well at that.
So you could use something else,
You don't have to use React Router DOM. There's lots of routing solutions. I would have to do a quick search for them, but I think they're actually even listed on reactjs.org. If you click on that, oh, page top. that's useful documentation then. Fantastic. So at least you know you can use React Router DOM even if React doesn't know what to suggest for you. Yeah, if I put routing in there, does it have its own page? I thought there used to be a tools section and it listed routing under there. But anyway, alright. If you want the documentation for React Router DOM, you can find it under React Training, React Router, something like that. If I search, I'm sure it will find it. Yeah, that one. Right, so this is the official documentation of React Router. reacttraining.com/React Router. Gives you the option of web and native. So if you're developing for the web, great, use the web version. If you're developing for native apps, then you've got a slightly different version for React Native.
If you're using a framework like Ruby or Rails,
Yep.
do you need the router or Ruby intellectual?
I haven't used Ruby on Rails for a long time, so I couldn't say whether it has routing built in. I imagine it would because it's more of a framework, yeah. But yeah, it would have its own gem or something for routing, yeah. Whereas React's relatively small, I think, compared to Ruby on Rails, so it doesn't come pre-packaged with routing. But there would be routing tools within Ruby on Rails, absolutely, yeah. Same as in Angular, right? There's tools built in for that to handle routing. But the React solution is either React Router DOM or something similar. Unfortunately, I couldn't pull you up a decent list, but I can send that your way if you need later on. Right, so now that's installed, what has that given us access to? Well, one of the most important ones is browser router. And you often see that aliased, so we can just do an aliased import by putting the keyword as after browser router, and I'm just going to call it router. Yeah. And we're going to need something else. Common other ones are the route itself. I think someone's just joined online. Let me grant them access. I can't see the window. That's weird. The screen should be coming up, but I can't grant you access wherever you are. Sorry. Let's try this way. No, no one there. Interesting. So yeah, it gives us access to the browser router component. So these are all, I can't really see, can you? So we've got access to the browser router component. Notice the very familiar syntax. It just looks like a React component or a custom element, a custom HTML or JSX element. And we've got other useful ones like link to create our anchors essentially, but anchors that are monitored by React, so they're a bit more reactive. They're not going to force a full page refresh. It's just going to reload the necessary content, the content that has changed in our application. Route is another important one. So our routes and our links are going to work together. We'll see how very, very shortly. So we've got access to that custom component. And for now, we might look at the switch as well. Okay, that should be enough for now, I think. If you want to read the full documentation, you can see what else is available to you there. Alright, back into our app. So let's go for route, let's go for link, and just in case we need it, I'll put the switch in there as well now. Where is that imported from? Yeah, the new dependency that we just installed, React Router DOM. Great stuff.
And the brackets mean it's named import?
The brackets mean it's a named import, yeah, or a non-default import. So the default import in React is the React core files or code base, and component itself is a named import or a non-default import. Alright, good. So the way that routing works is we have to wrap our whole React app or any components that we wish to have routing in, so it makes sense just to wrap the whole app in it in this case, in our higher order router component. Make sure it's got a capital. So this will essentially grant some extra functionality to our app and allow us to monitor the routes. Okay, so we've wrapped the app in the router component, and that will mean we can use things like route and links inside of our application. Let's go back to the header. So rather than using these now, I'm going to turn them into links. So rather than having that, instead we could put it as a link component. That takes an attribute to instead of a href, and we're going to link to wherever we want to link to. So you send it in as a string, as you do most HTML or JSX attributes. And I'll put the about in there, /about. And what else do I need in there? I think I need something else in there. If anyone can remember, let me know. If not, I'll leave it like that and we'll find out when it throws me an error. Let's set up a couple of others. No, that goes in the route. The component attribute should do. Yeah, is we're just setting up the links to begin with. So hopefully these are still going to be, oh, well, they're not going to be visible, are they? So we definitely need some text in there. About, skills, projects. If I go back to the app, they're still there, and they look clickable. However, when we, still seems like they've got the old route there. Why is that? What's happened there then? So I've deleted those ones completely. Am I not running? Has my server stopped? Yeah, my server stopped, or I stopped my server. So let's run the server again. Shut that one so I don't get confused. Doesn't take much. Okay, now we can't resolve React DOM. Were we using React DOM, were we? In index.js. Import React DOM from React DOM. Oh yeah, did I delete that rather than React Router DOM? That was silly, wasn't it? Okay, so let's make sure we install one of the core components of React, otherwise our app is definitely not going to work. npm install React DOM. I'm hoping this will still work, because usually this is installed by create React app, and I hope I haven't mucked it up by manually deleting it. Let's see what happens. Whew, we're back. These styles have now changed again. Are you alright if I don't fix them for now, just in the essence of speeding things up? So our route, hopefully you can see down the bottom left, is now /about. We set up our link to take us to /about, or at least change the URL to /about. So if we click on that, it's going to do it. Our address bar has changed to /about, but we have no route handler. We haven't set up the behavior, what to do when the URL changes to /about. The link just creates the new URL, but we haven't set the behavior of what to do when that URL changes. So none of these effectively work, right? They work in the sense that they change the URL, but nothing's happening. It's not taking us anywhere else. The content's still the same. So how do we do that? Well, we installed one of these other useful components, route. So I'm not going to need a link inside of here. And rather than just rendering the component all the time, I can essentially set up a conditional render based on the route. So let's say I only want to render the about page when the path of the route is equal to /about. And what do I want to happen when the path is /about? Well, I want to render a certain component, and the component that I wish to render is the about component. If I leave it like that, what's going to happen when I'm on my home page? My home page should look no different. I can still scroll down it. However, when I go to /about, what do we expect to happen?
It's in a different page.
No, not yet. No, not the way we've set it up. I mean, that's our ideal intended behavior, but we haven't done that yet in the code. If I look at my code, I'm still always rendering the header. I'm conditionally rendering an about component. I'm still always rendering another about component. So I think when I go to /about, I'm going to get the whole web page, but 2 about components. That's what I think we've set up here. About me, another about me, and then the rest of the website continues as intended, yeah? So I didn't want to go straight to the correct answer, because then, we don't necessarily understand what things are doing. We're just producing what we want to produce, almost like following the videos again, yeah? So hopefully now you can see that this only renders when we're on the /about. If we're on any other route, it won't render. So if we changed all of these to only conditionally render when we're on skills or projects, to render the relative component, it's called my projects. Make sure it's called my projects. And in a lot of pages, the header and the footer always render, yeah? We don't want to conditionally render those, we want to always display them. So I can leave them just in there like that to always render, no matter what path we're on. So if I now go to /about, either by clicking the link or whatever, unfortunately my image is still inside of my header component, so we could change that so that we only see the about. But if we do scroll down, then we've only got the about me. Now the skills and the project section is not showing. If I click on the skills, then we've only got the skills bit rendered between the header and the footer. We've only got the projects here rendered between the header and the footer. Now I know this isn't the best example to showcase this way of rendering content, but hopefully at least keeps it simple and you can see where it might be useful for larger applications, yeah? If you've got a big Amazon type website or an e-commerce site, you only want to render a certain type of clothing or a certain type of books, yeah? You don't want to render Amazon's whole collection of books all on one page. The user would have to scroll forever and it probably won't be a great experience. So you could just render part based on the route. How could we improve it, or do you foresee any problems with how we've done it that way? Sorry, I didn't quite hear that, Alana, a second. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you would literally have 20 routes if that was the case. However, some routes aren't necessarily going to render a unique component, are they? They might just render a component template, and then you would put in certain information again dynamically via props, yeah? So you might render a details movie page, which is what you're going to do in CodeFlix, and that will render no matter what the name of the movie. So that's when you'd have something like a dynamic link. Yeah, so if I change one of these to a dynamic link, then hopefully we can see what happens. If I now manually type a route, or even we could create a link if you prefer, but it's just quicker to manually type a route of /JavaScript. Any idea what's going to happen based on that code? There's nothing called /JavaScript. So what things are going to get rendered? It will still match this syntax, because the colon in front of skills essentially means anything. Yeah, anything after the /, and we're going to save it into a parameter or a variable called skills. And no matter what they type here, it's going to render the skills component. It shouldn't render the about and the projects, because that isn't a matching route, yeah? We haven't typed / about. I'm going to hit JavaScript now. And we still get the skills displaying, yeah, even though we haven't typed / skills. Whoops. If I did actually have, probably need to create some more components, but hopefully you can understand still. If I did actually have the / skills there, and I type / skills, maybe let's even change this one to my projects. If I type / skills now, what's going to get matched? Or what's going to get displayed?
2 different skills of the project.
Yeah, both of these are going to get matched. That because we're going to literally type / skills. That because the colon means match anything and save it in a variable called projects. So if I go back here and type / skills, it's going to render the skills, but it's also matched the projects. Let's say that wasn't the intended behavior and we only wanted to match the first matching route. How can we make sure that only the first matching route is matched? There's a couple of ways, but let's maybe suggest one way. Exact. So exact is one of them. Will that work in this case though? It's interesting. Yeah, let's see. So it's looking exactly for that, and therefore if we had something like / skills / JavaScript, if I type / skills, it shouldn't match this one, right? Because it's not exactly that. Let's do / skills again. It seems that it's still only matched one set of skills, but it's also still displayed the projects, even though we've got exact here. Yeah, so even though I've typed / skills exact, it's still matching this project because this matches everything. Yeah, it doesn't matter if we put exact here, there is no exact. I don't even know what will let us do it, but yeah, exact match anything, it doesn't really make sense. But yeah, so that hasn't changed the behavior at all really. But let's say I really don't want to match my projects. How can I do it? What other component did we import? Switch. And switch only lets us match one case, so it will only render the first component that it finds. So if we wrap everything inside of a switch component, all of our other routes inside of here, missed it. And now I'm hoping that it should match this one and ignore everything below. So the order is important as well with your routes, just the same way as it is in Express when you get onto backend or node routes. Yeah. Ooh, have I confused it? No. Good. So now we're just matching the skills and the projects are not displayed because it found this first match in skills and it ignored everything below it. So that is how you would use switch, and it does come in very useful when combined with, these are called dynamic routes. Any questions, guys?
So this something called double column. If
Put it after projects, or like that.
Yes. Which render. So basically, when I type in projects and some random letters, it's going to load the third one. Yeah. Load this one.
When you type in projects and some random letters, it will
Because
match.
the double colon means anything
Mhm.
after, yeah? So it's like a wild card, isn't it?
Yeah, like a wildcard, or it makes it a dynamic route. I've never even tried that, you know. I've just sort of accepted that you put the colon at the front, but whether it will turn the whole thing into a dynamic route or it will make it so that we can add wildcard characters, I'm not sure. To me, the colon was saying this can be anything and store it in a variable called projects. Having the colon at the end, I'm not quite sure whether it means it's going to be the route / projects and then any characters, or whether it's just not an accepted syntax. Let me have a look. It was on the projects that we did, wasn't it? So you're saying if we type in projects followed by some random letters, then nothing's rendered, right? So it's not really a wildcard character. But interestingly enough, that gave me an idea for something else. If I type / projects / and then some random characters, and I change my route to that, again, I think it will let me not assign it into a variable name, and that will match. But I also think it will match this one. So I think we're going to get 2 projects on the page. And oh, I haven't got a / hold on. Got 1 project, only 1 project. Okay, which one is it? Let's give that a my project or something like that. Name. And then try once more. Oh, we're still in the switch though, aren't we? We're still in the switch, that's why we're only matching 1. Let's take it out of the switch. Now I expect it to match 2. Yeah, my projects. Oops. Let me just put it back the way it was. And I still expect it to match. Oh, no, it doesn't. Interesting. Okay, cool. So I think that shows that the colon needs to have a name after it. It doesn't matter what the name is, but it needs a variable to store something inside. And then it should match both of them. However, again, let's say that we only wanted to match yeah, that's interesting. If we type / projects, is it still going to match both? No. Okay, so there has to be something there as well. But if this was / projects and then CodeFlix, let's just create a new component very quickly because it's a bit confusing having 2 projects. Let's just say codeflix.js. Did I even spell it right? Yeah. So a new component, really quickly guys, probably the easiest way is to write a function, right? Function. And let's call it codeflix. Let's make it return just a string. Do I need to even put it in anything? Let's give it a paragraph, why not? And just say this is my amazing CodeFlix project, right? Maybe it's not a good thing, but just put some line breaks there just to give it a bit of space so that we can see what's going on. Sorry, I put it in the wrong place. Okay, just so it takes up a bit of space on the page and we can actually see it. Function CodeFlix, what have I done wrong? That's my input. That's I mixed an arrow function and a normal function, and we need to return something as well. What's going to be wrong with this? Or is it going to let me? Didn't think it was going to let me. Just in case it doesn't let me, I'll wrap it in a React fragment. Okay. Alright, so really basic, quick component there. It returns a bit of text and spaces it out on the page. Let's say when we go on projects CodeFlix that we want to render the CodeFlix component. So we need to import that component. Okay, good. Now, my question to you is, when I type /projects/CodeFlix, how many components get rendered? Two. What two? So the CodeFlix component will get rendered, and then the My Projects component will also get rendered. Okay, yeah. Yeah, not export, import. I didn't import React, right? And I tried to make a React component, so rule number one. If you want to make a React component, make sure you import React from React, right? It's a really common error, and it trips up people who've been using React for ages. So don't feel bad when you do it.
You need to export it as well.
And I have to export the function, yeah. Okay, so now, it's interesting. I did expect what you expected, so maybe it's hidden behind the image. Let's have a look, see if it got rendered, or whether we're still doing something wrong. There's some classes in there. Other than that, there's no errors. Inside the app, we got the header, got My Projects. We haven't got the CodeFlix rendered, have we? Interesting. Did I type /projects/CodeFlix? No, I didn't. /projects/CodeFlix. Now we should get, this is my amazing CodeFlix projects with some space, and it renders my projects. Cool. How about I only want to display, this is my CodeFlix project. I don't want to display any subdomains. I mean, not subdomains, like parent domain or whatever. Yeah, this is where we use exact. Okay, so we only want to match that one. I think that one will need it as well, actually. I think it's that one that needs it, not the other one, as far as I'm aware, because that is being matched, but that would have matched if we didn't have the exact there. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So if one of your routes has some sub-routes, then make sure you put the exact in front of it. Otherwise you're going to match the parent route and all this, well, and the specific sub-route. Does that make sense? When to use switch and when to use exact based on those examples? Sort of.
So switch was rendering first one that matches, yeah?
Switch only renders the first matching route, yeah. So we could have used that in this case, but if we switch the order, then it wouldn't have worked again. You see my point? You know, if I put that one first without the exact and with a switch, and I typed in /projects/CodeFlix, it's going to match the project instead of the code flips. So that's why it's the better practice to use the exact whenever it has a subdomain. And this is really common when you do actually have a home route. We haven't even really spoken about that because so your root route would look like that, wouldn't it? So make sure that always has exact in front of it, unless you want to always render it. Yeah, but if you wanted to render that only when you're on the home route, then make sure it has an exact. Otherwise it will get rendered on every single other one. Why? Because look, you know, if you highlight that, there's a forward slash, there's a forward slash, there's a forward slash, there's a forward slash, so it's going to match all of those routes as well. Make sense? Okay, so if you're not at that task yet, obviously watch it in combination with Ricardo's explanation on the CodeFlix project as well. Hopefully combine between the two. That should enable you to set up some nice routing in your application. Any other general questions, guys?
I was going to ask something that's not quite connected to this, but I've seen in older code the .jsx suffix on file names. Is that,
oh yeah,
is that gone away, or can you still use that?
No, you can absolutely still use that, but just be careful when you're using it, right? So if you've got a component, where's my one gone, that just renders JSX, such as that, it would be valid to use. Yeah, that is only rendering JSX code. There's no JavaScript logic inside of there. So I would only use the JSX extension for that, like a presentational element component. If I had some sort of conditional ternary, then I wouldn't use .jsx. I don't think so, because the JSX file is allowed to contain JavaScript. So I don't think it would throw an error, but I wouldn't use it if it did contain JavaScript code.
Better just to stick to JS then.
Yeah, I think so, really. Yeah. No worries. Okay, I will stop the stream there then.